I know it doesn't look like much here, but that's enough to hang up old Fat Alice, mainly on account of her tires are slicker than a used car salesman. This road isn't exactly much of a road. It's mainly just a path through the woods here, and once that topsoil gets wet, which it is, it's slicker than snot. So that combined with the slick tires, not a whole lot of traction going on there. It probably doesn't look like much, but there's a slight incline that way and a slight incline this way. And old Fat Alice just doesn't have enough snot to pull herself out. So I'm gonna hook onto it with the old dozer there and try to winch this thing backwards. Now, of course, I tried everything I could with the loader before I admitted defeat here. I tried pushing myself out with the forks, but the thing won't even hold itself long enough so that I could get the forks to get another bite. Like, it'll push itself so far, and then you pull the forks out, and then it just slides forward again. But tires for a machine like this are prohibitively expensive. I think each tire is probably in the neighborhood of, $2,000 plus. So, yeah, kind of expensive. Plus, the whole machine isn't really worth that. I mean, if I put 4 brand new tires on this thing, that would be the most valuable thing on the machine, would be the 4 new tires. So we're not going to go that route. These tires are thick enough to where we can hopefully cut some new treads in here. And I got a tire tool a while back I've been wanting to test out. So we're going to drag this thing out of here, hopefully, and then start slicing on these tires. You know, I started to pull this thing out of here, and then I realized that you guys were going to accuse me of setting this whole thing up if I didn't show you and prove to you that this thing is stuck. I ain't lying. It's a write-off, so we'll just go ahead and pull her out with the dozer. I think the old Komatsu is going to do just fine at pulling this thing out for us, though. So in a perfect world, your winch line is spooled up all nice and neat on the drum. Not like what we have going on here. This winch line is probably too far gone. It's been trained wrong for who knows how long, so it's probably not going to want to ever lay nice on that drum. But I'm kind of in a good position here where I can really stretch it out and try to fix it. So I think I'm going to go ahead and try to do that before I reel this thing in. Well, I knew the old Komatsu could do her. She pulled her out of there like nothing. So yeah, that went well. I guess I'm gonna run this thing up and down the driveway a few times, try and clean all the dirt out of the treads, and then we're gonna get to slicing. All right, well, let's do a little bit of assessing on these tires here. Now, the best tire out of the bunch would be this guy here. And I think we have, what, three or four different tread patterns here. So these tires have all been hodgepodged on here over the years, no doubt. But this guy's still got some tread left in it. We got, I don't know, maybe a little over an inch out here on the outside. And in the center, we probably have half an inch maybe. But that'd be the best one out of the bunch. I don't know if we're going to touch that one. This one here was more of a street tire, less aggressive right from the start. On big equipment like this, you know, wheel loaders get run on hard surfaces or down the road quite a bit sometimes. So they will leave a section of the center of the tire smooth all the way around with no interfering tread there, which gives a much smoother ride on hard surfaces. This machine is not going to see too many hard surfaces, so I'm toying with the idea of taking this center section all the way out and giving us a nice bite right across there, or otherwise at least narrowing the gap between these two treads and maybe just leaving like 2 inches there. So that's kind of my plan for that one. This one here already has a narrower solid tread all the way around, but again, pretty worn down. There's basically no depression there almost. I mean, you can see it and you can feel it, but it's not doing much for traction. The only real traction you have is out here at the edges where you still got these deep lugs at. So we'll probably just follow the original tread design on this one and try to hog that back out and, you know, maybe take it down about 3/4 or an inch. Finally, number 4 over here seems to be the absolute worst. It doesn't have the real tall shoulders all the way around like the other ones do. And it's got a pretty wide, solid ring all the way around the center on this one. So these treads maybe have like a little over 1/4 inch of tread depth left, which on your car that would be substantial, but on something like this, not so much. So again, we'll probably narrow up this distance between the treads and try to take this out to down. I'm gonna hope for about 3/4 of an inch. These tires are pretty darn thick, but I don't know if I want to go hog wild and go an inch down either. Leave us a lot more susceptible to punctures. So to complete this task, I got this guy here. Now I know absolutely nothing about carving tires up, but this guy is the highest amperage one I could find, which I imagine we're going to want for doing the work that we're going to be doing here. It looks like everything that came in the box. So we have this little we got? We got temperature regulation, and we got a shift switch, so I don't know what the heck that is. Might end up having to read some directions there. But then we have a voltmeter up there too. And so this is the gun. And it looks like you put these replaceable deals in the end of it. And again, I know nothing about this, I'm just speculating. But I know you can get different profiles for the end of these guns to change the type of groove you're carving. So you have like a basic V shape there, and then you got, where's it at? A little more squared off bottoms on some of these, and then probably the guy that we're after right here, the nice big wide flat bottom groove. That's probably what we're going to be using primarily. Now I have no idea what the wear life is like on these things, or if you can go crazy and break them or whatever, so we're just going to try to take it easy and hope we don't tear them up, because we don't have very many of those super wide ones in here. It looks like we got to loosen these Allen keys here and insert our cutting tip. I'm not sure about any of this. I'm completely winging it. Oh, okay, so looking closer at these little blades, there's a sharp side and then there's a dull side. So I think you push these tire cutters. So I'm just guessing that yeah. All right. I guess we're ready for battle. As my regular viewers will know, I do not have that fancy pants electricity stuff run out here to the farm. So unfortunately, we're gonna have to fire up a generator to run this thing. Well, I tell you what, that's a heavy little bugger. This thing probably weighs 15 pounds. All right, so I kind of changed this thing up. I adjusted it, or rated it 1/2 inch. That seems like, I don't know, a good safe place to start with these blades, because I feel like they're just gonna fold over pretty easy once they get hot. So, as far as I can tell, I've got the machine switched on to 11, and playing around here off camera, I figured out that when you flip the machine on, this thing just doesn't automatically get hot, and it's cold right now. But when you push on it, see how it goes in like that? That's kind of like pushing the trigger, and that starts heating up the knife blade there. You can watch that voltmeter there as I push this together. I know the sun's pretty bright too, but if you can't tell, that light's actually lighting up when you do that as well. Okay, I have this thing set up kind of in the middle position here. Let's see if this thing's gonna do anything. As I've said about 5 times, I don't know what I'm doing. Oh yeah, look at that, it's cutting. It's rolling through that pretty good. A little bit of smoke there. Wow, that's impressive. It's not even really sticky or anything. It's warm, but it's not hot. That's nice. Nice squared edge on the tread here, and that's, if you don't know, having a squared edge on the tread means a lot more sometimes than having a deep tread. So just putting nice square edges back on this thing should do a lot for us. Now, because we don't have a real big blade here and these tire treads are pretty wide, it's looking like I'm going to have to do 2 passes on these things to get them where I want them. Oh, we have fire. Oh, look at that. See, I don't like the way they have this thing set up. You shouldn't have to push on this thing, putting unnecessary force on the knife to make it heat up. They should have some sort of trigger that engages the heat and that way you can just push as hard as required to push the knife through the melted rubber rather than forcing it. You know what I mean? Because you have to put so much resistance on this thing just to enact the heat. And as you can see, we just mangled a blade there trying to do that. So, yeah, I was afraid of something like this. I knew these things weren't going to hold up well. So what do you do with that now? I guess I'm going to try to straighten it out first before I swap it out, since we don't have very many. Yeah, so you can't even straighten it. That heat ruined the metal. As soon as you try to bend it, snaps it. Great. Alright, so we got a new blade in there now, and I've changed the adjustment a bit here. It's still a 1/2 inch deep, but I kind of narrowed the throat up a little bit. So we're going to take 2 passes anyways. We'll make it as narrow as possible. Hopefully that makes this thing a little stronger. There we go. Nice hard edge there. And our knife is still intact, so that's good. I don't know what the heck that was. It sounded like something just exploded in my truck. It's awful hot out here. I hope I didn't just have a can explode in there. Look at that. That sound distracted me. It made me veer off course. Oh, look, it plows right through nice little strips like that. That's cool. I guess there's kind of an art to this thing we're going to have to figure out here. I got a plug in this one. We'll see if it cuts through a plug. Oh, look at that. Yep, right through it. Pretty impressed by that. Yeah, I feel like, you know, this was working good, yes, but there's got to be a better knife solution out there, because, like, I just had to take 4 passes across there to make this work right. Check it out, guys. It is a slow process, but ultimately rewarding. Got all 3 tires that I was planning on cutting, got them all done. I did change my plans about halfway through. I was talking about leaving, little chunks of solid material so it was a smoother ride, but you know what? I think it'll be just fine doing it the way I did it. The most worrisome tire that I did was this one up front here, and I took the liberty of playing around and just getting a little creative with this thing and seeing if I could recreate the Diesel Creek logo, but I'm not an artist, that's for sure, especially with a tire iron. But the cords on this tire is worn very badly. There's really not a whole lot of life left in it. I wasn't going very deep in a couple places, and it was hitting, I think there's like a cord that's broken or something over on this side of the tire because it's up higher than the cords everywhere else. But I was trying not to expose them. That there was definitely a few places, like right here, you can see the cord. I went too deep and got into the cord, so that's my fault. So this little tool does work pretty good. I mean, it buzzes right through the rubber. The trouble with it is these little blades here, and I think I talked about this in the beginning of the video. I went through, this isn't nearly all of them, I went through a whole bunch of these blades. You gotta really take a while to dial in the heat just right on it. So what I was doing to dial in the heat after some practice, I'd start making a cut and then reach over with the other hand and start turning up the heat to the point where the gun would just start to glide through it a little easier, and I didn't have to have so much resistance on it. But you had to watch, if you started to go a little too hot, it would maybe start to smoke a little bit, and you had to dial it back. Because if it was smoking, it was not doing a proper job. And if you get it a little too hot, that's when these blades heat up and they get cherry red, and that's when you bend the blades. So you got to find that happy medium there. And like I said, it is a very kind of touch and go process, but we got all these things cut. We have a nice, a good 1/2 inch of tread everywhere now, where we didn't have tread at all on a couple of these tires before. So it has rained again since the beginning of this video, so things are pretty wet today. I'm still not positive that we're going to make it through that hole back there, but I think I'm going to fire this thing up and see if we can't go rallying through that little dip in the woods there and see if this thing's going to paw its way through it now that we have some bite. Anyways, for the money, I think this tool did okay. I'm going to look around online and see if I can maybe find some higher quality blades that'll work with it. I think that would definitely be an improvement, but if you guys are interested in one of these things, there is a link down in the description. Check it out. Trouble is, this topsoil just falls apart when it gets wet. It is not very grippy. I don't care what you got. I don't know about this, guys. Even with our fancy new treads, I don't know if this is going to happen. We're going to give her. good at this kind of stuff. If this was clay, I think we'd be fine. It's topsoil. I don't even think it would matter if we had brand new tires. I think we'd be having the same issues here. Oh. Kind of sounds like we just ran out of fuel. It's possible. I haven't checked the fuel in this thing in months. I was actually trying to run it out of fuel so that I can clean the tank out. So I'm not going to be too upset, but it is not an ideal place to run out of fuel, that's for sure. So even though the fuel gauge does not work on this machine, I can tell it's out of fuel because I've got the bleeder open on the filter housing and my see-through filter right here. It is just bubbling air, so it's sucking air out of the fuel tank, which is no bueno. All right, it should fire back up now. All right, look at that. When it's got diesel fuel, it actually runs. Let's see if we can't get us out of this predicament. All right, well, that might not have gone exactly as planned, but we did indeed make it out of the woods, so I would call that a resounding success. What do I think about cutting tires like this? Well, it's definitely got its pros and cons. Pro, you're getting some new tread out of some tires that are no longer serving you, and you're saving a good deal of money if you can get said life out of the tires that are no longer serving you. Downside, you're probably making your tires more susceptible to punctures because we're already taking a thin tire and thinning it even more. And those places where the cords are showing on this tire, you know, that's definitely not ideal. So I won't be surprised if this tire doesn't last extremely long. And if one's going to go, I'm going to bet it's going to be this one. Now, I'm not that upset about that though, because this tire, now the sidewall's covered in mud now, but this tire already had a whole bunch of destruction and cracks and bulges going on in the sidewall of this tire. So it was already in poor shape. So any life we get out of it, so much the better. What I expect from this loader is nothing like that anyways. I usually don't go running around in the woods with it, especially if it's wet as it is right now. So really, for what I do with this thing, I think this is a great solution for me. I don't want to go spend $5,000 on 4 new tires, or more, probably more. So this is a great solution for me. So that's all I've got to say about that. If you guys have any experience or good technique to share with me about cutting tires better, do let me know down in the comments. That'd be much appreciated. I think I said at the beginning, I've never done this before. It was definitely a first go around. So yeah, trial by fire. Anyways, guys, that's all I've got for now. If you liked the video, do me a big favor. Hit that thumbs up button down below the video. It really helps out the channel. Doesn't cost you guys a dime. Also, if you want to help support the channel and rock some sweet Diesel Creek merch in the process, head on over to dieselcreek.com. We've got lots of hats and t-shirts and other fun ways for you to help support the channel and look good at the same time. But that's all I've got for now. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you on the next one.